The Whispering Apartment. It was a rainy evening when Sarah first saw the apartment. The sign outside read, "Apartment for rent. Cheap, spacious, immediate move-in." She had just graduated and moved to the city for a new job. Her budget was tight, and this place seemed perfect. The building was old, the paint was peeling, and the hallway smelled faintly of damp wood. But the apartment itself was surprisingly clean. 2 rooms, a small kitchen, and a bathroom. "It's perfect," she thought, dragging her suitcase inside. As she unpacked, she noticed something strange. A soft whisper seemed to float from the walls. She paused, listening carefully, but no one was there. Probably just the wind, she told herself. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. The apartment was quiet, but faint whispers echoed around her. She could not understand the words. They sounded like murmurs of people talking, but just out of reach. She shook her head. "I'm tired. I'm imagining things." Day 2, the first night. The next night, the whispers returned. This time, she heard them from the bedroom corner. "Sarah," one voice called. Her heart skipped a beat. "Who's there?" she demanded. Silence. Then a cup slid off the kitchen counter by itself. It crashed on the floor, shattering. Sarah jumped back, breathing fast. She wanted to leave, but she had nowhere else to go. She cleaned up the mess and locked the apartment tightly. The discovery. During the day, she asked the landlord, an old man with a tired face, about the apartment. He hesitated. "No one stays long here," he said finally. "Some say the last tenant disappeared." "Disappeared?" Sarah asked. The old man looked away. "Just be careful at night." Sarah laughed nervously. "Disappear? That's impossible. Probably he just moved." But her unease grew. Strange events. Over the next week, strange things escalated. Doors opened and closed on their own. Lights flickered even when the switches were off. Objects moved. A book on her desk would be face down the next morning, even though she left it open. And always, the whispers. They started to form words she could understand. "Get out. Leave. Don't stay." Sarah tried to ignore it. She recorded the whispers on her phone one night. When she played it back, it was just static. Nothing she could hear, but she could feel the presence. The shadow one night, Sarah woke to a cold breeze. Her window was closed. She saw a shadow moving across the wall, tall and thin with no face. She froze. The shadow whispered, "Sarah, stay, forever." She ran to the door, but it was locked. She checked the keys, her bag, the windows. Everything was normal. Somehow, the apartment itself seemed to trap her. From that night, she never slept in the bedroom. She moved her mattress to the living room. But the whispers followed. The apartment's secret, determined to find out the truth, Sarah researched the apartment's history. She found old newspaper articles. 1995, a young woman vanished here without a trace. 2002, a man reported hearing voices and disappeared shortly after. 2010, another tenant fled the apartment in panic, never returning. Every previous tenant had either disappeared or left in terror, and every report mentioned whispers at night. The breaking point, Sarah tried to leave, but every landlord she contacted seemed unaware of this apartment. She realized that the building did not officially exist in records. No official registry, no taxes, nothing. One night, the whispers became louder, urgent. "Sarah, join us, forever." She felt a cold hand grip her shoulder while she slept in the living room. She screamed and turned on the lights. Nothing, but the shadow stood in the corner, watching. The escape. Sarah knew she had to leave. She packed her belongings silently. The apartment felt alive, resisting her. Doors slammed shut, windows rattled, and the whispers screamed in rage. At 3 a.m., she ran down the stairs. She reached the exit, but the hallway seemed endless. The front door was nowhere in sight. Panic consumed her. Then she remembered the old stairwell at the back. She ran, ignoring the whispers, the shadows, the cold hands grabbing at her. Finally, she burst into the rainy street outside. She didn't look back. Aftermath, Sarah never returned. She found a new apartment and moved on with her life. But sometimes at night, she could still hear a whisper in the back of her mind. "Sarah, come back. The apartment waits." No one knows exactly what haunted the apartment. Some say it's the spirits of the lost tenants. Some say it's the building itself, hungry for new occupants. But Sarah knows the truth. Some places are alive, and some never let go. The locked room. It was a quiet suburb when Adnan first saw the house. A large, old building with a "For Rent" sign hanging crookedly in the front yard. The paint was faded, and the garden was overgrown. But the rent was cheap, and he needed a place. The nervous man handed him the keys without much explanation. "The house is yours, but one thing," he said, lowering his voice. "Don't open the basement room, ever." Adnan laughed. "A locked room? Sounds like a story, don't worry." He moved in, excited to start his new life in the quiet suburb. First night. The first night was normal. The house creaked with old wood settling. He slept well. But during the second night, he heard strange noises from the basement, a low, muffled thumping. He remembered the landlord's warning. "It's just an old house settling," he told himself. But curiosity gnawed at him. The locked door. Adnan explored the basement the next day. It was dusty and filled with old furniture. In the far corner, a sturdy wooden door stood, locked and untouched for years. He shook it. Nothing. He pressed his ear against it. Whispers, low, panicked voices echoed from inside. "It's just rats," he tried to reason. But the whispers grew louder every night, forming words: help, trapped, don't forget. Signs of the past. Determined to learn more, Adnan searched the local library. He found old police reports about the house. 1980, a family vanished. The father's study was locked from the inside. 1992, a young couple rented the house and fled after hearing screams at night. 2005, a single woman stayed a month. She left suddenly, never explaining why. Every tenant had encountered the basement. Every tenant had failed to stay. The first night alone. One stormy night, Adnan decided to face the basement. He took a flashlight and slowly descended. The door loomed in the shadows, locked as always. He found an old key on a dusty shelf, probably left by the previous tenants. Hands shaking, he inserted it into the lock. It turned easily. The door creaked open, revealing a small, windowless room. Inside he saw rusted chains hanging from the walls, old furniture covered in dust, a small bed neatly made, but as if someone had slept there recently. And then he saw the walls covered in words, scratched with fingernails. "Don't open, trapped, leave, forever." The first encounter. A cold wind blew from nowhere. The whispers were all around him, louder, urgent. "You shouldn't be here. Join us." He felt a presence behind him. A shadow moved in the corner. Then the room went completely dark. Adnan's flashlight flickered, and he saw hands pressing against the walls from inside, trying to escape. He stumbled back, heart racing, and slammed the door. The growing horror. That night, the house felt alive. Whispers echoed through the walls. Footsteps climbed the stairs when no one was there. Objects fell without explanation. Adnan tried to leave, but strange things blocked him. The car wouldn't start. The front door jammed. His phone lost signal. The basement door whispered through the house, "You can't leave. Join us, forever." The attempted escape. Adnan slept lightly, packing a small bag. In the middle of the night, the whispers screamed in unison. He ran toward the basement. The door was wide open. Inside, he saw ghostly figures, chained and reaching out. Their eyes were hollow, pleading. He realized these were all the tenants who vanished before. He tried to run, but the figures grabbed his arms, pulling him toward the room. He screamed. Then he remembered the key still in his pocket. He threw it into the room, and the figures shrank back, letting him go. The final night. Adnan ran through the stormy streets, never looking back. The house stood silent behind him, as if nothing had happened. The landlord later told neighbors, "No one stays long in that house. Some rooms hold more than air." Adnan never returned, but sometimes in his dreams he hears chains dragging, whispers calling, "We are still here, waiting for you." Aftermath. The house remains rented. Few stay longer than a month. Neighbors report hearing whispered voices at night, cold winds in summer, shadowy figures in the basement window. No one knows what exactly haunts the locked room. Some say it's the trapped souls of past tenants, chained to the house forever. Adnan knows the truth. Some doors should never be opened, and some rooms are hungry for new victims. The first night. The first night was normal. They unpacked, cooked dinner, and watched TV. But at midnight, Amina heard soft footsteps upstairs, even though Hassan was already asleep. "Probably the old floors creaking," Hassan said when she mentioned it. But it wasn't just the floors. That night, a shadow moved across their bedroom wall, tall, dark, and featureless. It stopped when they looked directly at it, as if it was aware of their eyes. Strange happenings. Over the next few days, small things went wrong. Lights flickered when no one touched the switches. Items moved from their places, keys on the table, shoes in the hallway. They occasionally heard whispers calling their names. One night, Hassan saw the shadow standing outside the bedroom door, watching them sleep. He blinked, and it vanished. Amina began to dread the nights. "Hassan, someone is here," she whispered. "I can feel it." The landlord's warning. They confronted the landlord again. "You said the previous tenant never left," Amina asked. He sighed. "Yes, his name was Kamran. He rented this house years ago. He disappeared. Some say he still lives here, but not in the way you and I do. Be careful at night." Hassan tried to joke, but he too felt the tension in the air. The shadow appears one night. The shadow became bolder. It followed them from room to room, disappearing when they tried to confront it, only to reappear behind them. Amina noticed that it mimicked their movements, almost like a twisted reflection. It whispered in a raspy voice, "This is my home. You don't belong." Their sleep turned into nervous hours, and even in daylight, they felt watched. Escalation. The events escalated quickly. Doors slammed shut on their own. Windows rattled, even when the wind was calm. Footsteps echoed through the empty hallway. One morning, Hassan found fresh footprints in the dust on the floor, leading straight to the basement door. They hadn't gone there in days. They realized the house was alive with the presence of the previous tenant, or what he had become. The attempted confrontation. Desperate, Hassan and Amina decided to confront the shadow. They waited until midnight, lights off, standing in the living room. The shadow emerged, taller than before, its featureless face dark and menacing. It whispered, "You can leave, if you surrender." Suddenly objects flew around the room, chairs, lamps, books. The air was cold, heavy, and suffocating. Amina screamed. Hassan grabbed her hand. They ran toward the front door, but it wouldn't open. The shadow blocked the path, and its form grew larger, looming over them like a storm cloud. The escape. Remembering an old window in the kitchen, Hassan forced it open. Cold wind rushed. They climbed out, falling into the garden below. The shadow screamed, a horrible, inhuman sound, but did not follow outside. They ran down the street, the town quiet and oblivious. They never looked back. Aftermath. The house remains rented. Some tenants report strange figures, cold drafts, and whispers. Few stay long. Hassan and Amina moved far away, but at night, in quiet moments, they hear a voice whisper their names. "Come back. It's still waiting." The shadow tenant is patient, bound to the house, waiting for new occupants. Some say it feeds on fear, growing stronger with each terrified tenant. Hassan and Amina learned the hard way. Some houses are never empty, and some tenants are never truly gone.